let us begin and commence to hearing the wisdom of Brother Henry DeBernardo. Give him some room warm.
I want to thank Atlanta for having me here, having us here. But before I even get into all that and all the plaudits and kudos, I want to give honor and praise and thanks to the Creator and to the Orishas and the ancestors who made it possible for us to be here today. Ashe. And we also want to thank the many people who made this thing possible. You have no idea, brothers and sisters, you have no idea how valuable this thing is. This is extremely valuable work that has been done in this place at this time. And I know just how valuable it is because one of the brothers who came in here for this conference was pulled off of a train in Washington, D.C. by 4 federal police. Okay? And they frisked this brother and they told him specifically they were looking for guns. He was on his way to this conference. They went straight to him on the train. They knew exactly who they were going after. So I know the value of what is going on here. And, you know, we have a lot of levity among us. You know, we can laugh and joke, have humor. We can have fun and games, go to dinner, and do all the social things that people do. But we need to understand, to keep the main focus. The main focus is we are here to be together. That's right. And just as being together is a threat. You know, just extremely powerful resources in this country. As a matter of fact, when we was over at that university yesterday, we peeped some things going on over there. Okay? Because there were people mingling in among us, not in that room, but outside that room. Yes, sir. See, because I'm a journalist, and I'm trained to look and sniff and smell, okay, in ways that you don't see and smell and look. And I know for a fact that there were people in that place who were very hostile to what is going on here. What is going on here this weekend is a threat. It is. That's right. As innocent as it seems on the surface, what we are doing here today is a threat. And there are people in very high places who are very antsy about us being in this room. And we are going to have to do certain types of rituals to make sure that the people who put this thing on do not come under attack. That's right. Because that's going to be the plan. That's right. That's right. Because once they decided they could not stop this thing from happening, now they're moving to plan B, which is they're not going to permit this to happen again. In order for us to short-circuit that, we're going to have to do work on all levels. That's why we call this a metaphysical conference, because you cannot fight the beast on one level. That's right. Because if you choose to fight the beast on his level, you're going to lose every time. That's right. That beast is going to take you down, take you out every time. We have a long history of this. You know, and the brother just mentioned one of our dear brothers who was taken down right here in this neck of the woods. Right at the very same time this conference was going on, his brother was taken down. Most people would say it's coincidence. I don't believe in coincidences. I don't think the thing exists. As a matter of fact, whenever you see a coincidence, you're supposed to believe the opposite. And you'll be closer to the truth. All right, so we're in very heavy times, and I'm going to keep stressing that over and over again. As a matter of fact, tomorrow I'm going to be back, and we're going to get even deeper then because we're going to be doing some discussions about the grid lines. I thought it was very interesting that Robert Morningsky, who I talked to before we had to leave, mentioned Atlanta, and he specifically mentioned route number 75. And I have been talking about Route 75 in my lectures here. When I came here 3 years ago, I talked about Route 75. You need to understand, why is this town where it is? What makes this town the power that it is? This town is the most powerful city in the South. Why is that? And why is it that right through the heart of downtown Atlanta, you have Route 75 going through it? You know, and it's very dramatic when you see it on the plane. Some of y'all came in here on the plane. You can see that Route 75, the way it cuts through this state. It's a very dramatic thing. Robert Morningsky says something very, very, very important about Route 75, and we're going to talk about that tomorrow. You see, you need to be very, very careful and learn to listen, you know, with your entire mind, with all your faculties, because a lot of things have been dropped here that people have been missing. I've been sitting in the back of these rooms watching, and I've been seeing people missing a lot of stuff that's going down in here. You need to be very, very careful, because we do not know when we're going to get the opportunity to do this again. Because we're going to have problems when it comes to doing this again. But guess what? We're going to get it done.
Yes, that's right.
But we're not going to be able to get it done on one level. We're going to have to get metaphysical. Because there's a spiritual element involved with this. See, when you battle this beast, you cannot battle this beast physically. That's the lesser part of the battle. You got to battle this beast with the spirit. That's the only ground where they cannot go. They cannot win. All right? And that's basically what this is all about. You know, not the meeting of the minds, the meeting of the souls, the meeting of the spirit. Okay? So we are creating a lot of power in this place. So we got to be about the business of marshaling all the resources, all the weapons at our disposal. And most of those weapons that we have are only weapons that we are only now beginning to identify. But those are the most powerful weapons that the beast is afraid of.
That's right.
All right? So you'll hear this time and again and again and again. You'll hear brothers like Bobby Hammond. You'll hear brothers like Valentine. You heard many, many, many people already. Very gifted people. Sister Audrey from D.C. Brother Africa. Beautiful brother. I mean, I was floored by that thing he did yesterday. When he talked about the military.
Yes.
What's a doctor doing talking about military?
Right. Yeah.
See? So you have to be multi-dimensional. In other words, go back to your nature. You know, and pull out all the resources. All right? Because when he got up there and he talked about the military, he understood what's going on. It's no coincidence, as a matter of fact, that at the very same time that was going on in that room, me and a sister who I was traveling with at the time, we got lost very, very near that campus. In fact, we was right outside the building yesterday, and we ran into a bevy of uniformed and fully armed troops. Outside that building. We accidentally ran into them. And I told the sister, I said, look, put that baby in reverse and let's get away from here, because I don't like that look in their eye. Because they didn't like the fact that we accidentally stumbled upon them. All of them were armed with M16s. 15 of them. Right next to that building we was in. And today, if you happen to notice today, there were 2 military helicopters hovering over the state capitol building.
I saw that too.
This morning. These people aren't playing games. Don't think this is fun and entertainment. This ain't no games. We playing here. The very fact that we up here, and I say this time and time and time again, the very fact that we up here, running our mouths like this, puts us in very dire straits, because our lives are directly on the line just for uttering these words. And any one of us could get took out. You know, the fact that we are in the same room with each other, communing with each other, you know, presents a very significant threat to those same people who ordered those troops into the streets of Atlanta yesterday afternoon while this conference was going on, underneath the building that we was in. And today had military helicopters floating over the Capitol building with their doors open. With their doors open. Both doors on both sides of the helicopters was open. What was in there? We peeped all that. So you need to be conscious that when we get up here and say these things and do these things, you know, we are doing it in a certain type of a context. And understand, if you don't understand anything else, understand that we're not here for fun and games. I did not come from 800 miles away from Philadelphia to have fun and games. Because I knew that at any point, the same thing that happened to that brother on that train in Washington could have happened to me. Or any one of us in here. And we don't know how many people did get stopped. You know, we don't know. There may be people who were supposed to be here and ain't here now because something happened to them. You know, we'll find out later on. You know, and a lot of the information that are going to be presented today is relevant to that because, you know, I was with Van Sertima. I was Van Sertima, very good, very strong, very powerful brother, who's a historian, very big, mild, tender, kind brother. You would never ever think that this brother was ever a threat to anybody on this planet. But he told me at the last conference he did, the last seminar that he did in Philadelphia, that they put $1 million contract on him. Because the information he's putting out. So you need to understand, we're not dealing with funny games here. People die every day because of what we're doing. Because information and knowledge is power. And if you have too much of it in the belly of the beast, they're going to do everything they can to take you out of here. Because the brother who's running his mouth at these lectures is just as much a threat as that brother on the street with a gun in his hand. They don't differentiate between the one and the two. And every day that I live, you know, I pray to my Creator, and I praise my ancestors for giving me a few more hours, a little bit more time, so that we can keep trying to get this job done. You know, but it's only the ancestors that keep us here because, see, I know that I can get on a plane, and I can go over the water, I can get on a plane to Philadelphia, and I can come to Atlanta without fear of getting hurt or major incident, because I know that only my ancestors in communion with my Creator can make that decision for me to leave here. They will decide when I leave, not the beast. Beasts don't have that power. Regardless of all the fluff, all the mouth, all the hype, you know, you got to get past that illusion, get past the magic, and understand what we're dealing with here. If you understand who you are and what you are and where you're from and what you got,
Come on.
then the fear is not a factor.
That is right.
Regardless of what they throw up in your face. All right? So that's how we'll begin. I want to thank Brother Kevin Jackson.
Hello.
Very good, very strong brother. I have some of his associates out in the hallway. Sister Delbra.
Yes. Yeah, let's hear this.
Brother Viola.
Yeah, all right.
And his son, Dr. Monster. He did a job on the county with the other brothers. And Gladys. Gladys Small. I want to give special thanks to Gladys because Gladys stepped to the plate. There was a little bit of technical glitch, and we had to make some fast phone calls, and Gladys stepped right to the plate and said, "Look, no problem," and she got her job done. No problem. It went very, very smooth, and here we are today. So this is a team thing we're talking about here. There's no one individual, there's no one ego that can get any measure of work done. So we're not here for egos. We're not here trying to trip over each other's egos. We're here to get work done. That's why we can come into the same room. All of us was over at the university yesterday taking snapshots together. All of us together, arm in arm. Even though I knew that less than 30 feet away was 4 FBI agents watching us in gray suits, all of them, uniform gray suits. A lot of people missed it. I saw it. I'm a journalist. I'm trained to look. So we're not hung up by the fear. You cannot let the fear dominate you because that is one of their weapons. You just got to keep pushing on and get the job done and get the information out. Get the knowledge down. Regardless of all the hype, all the verbiage, all the threats, all that nonsense, that goes with the turf. That's why when I first found out, for instance, that Brother Colley was coming in here, I said, good, great, bring him on, let's go.
Right.
You know, Bobby Hemming was coming in here, I said, come on, get Bobby Hemming up here. Brother Valentine, I said, let's go. Brother Africa, I said, get them all. I told Kevin, I said, look, call them all. Because this is just the beginning. You're going to see this next year. You're going to see this the year after. You're going to see it every year. We're going to do this right here in Atlanta. And one of the reasons why we got to do it here in Atlanta, New York may do something too. LA or Chicago may do something too. I'm going to be out in Chicago pretty soon. And we're going to be kicking around different concepts. And I noticed some brothers on the coast. You know, Kevin, you done started some stuff here.
That's right,
You
Kevin.
know, started some stuff here. The brother don't look like no cold-blooded militant revolutionary, but believe me, under that thin veneer is a real serious revolutionary brother.
That's right.
And we're going to do whatever we got to do to protect that brother and make sure those beasts don't get their fangs in him.
That's right.
Because they're planning it right now. But I told Kevin all that. He knows that. He ain't heard nothing that I didn't say before and other people haven't said before. You know, they want to sink their fangs in Bobby. They want to sink their fangs in Phil, me, all of us. Brother Shabazz, he's just as dangerous as I am because I got a penny, he got a mic. There's no difference between the two. We information disseminators. So we mark from the jump. It go with the turkey. I also want to thank all the brothers and sisters who helped me get into Atlanta. It's been a long, long road. Brother Valentine, Phil Valentine, was the very first one who brought me to New York City several years ago to start doing lectures in New York. And then it went from there. I want to thank Sister Bird Lockett up in Buffalo. And as a matter of fact, the shirt that I'm wearing is a shirt with some of the ancestors on it. This brother was a gift. It was a measure of special protection from a very young brother in Buffalo named Jomo Okono. Very, very good, strong brother. You know, I've been finding out all over the country that warriors, little cliques and little groups of warriors everywhere. You know, just because you turn on your TV and you don't see nothing but blood and guts, don't mean that there ain't another picture there.
Yes.
Believe me, it's African and Moorish and original people all over this continent on the move. Everywhere I go, I'm very, very encouraged to see that there are groupings like this everywhere in this country. Bobby travels, Phil travels, Audrey travels. We all travel around this country and we see what's going on in the back bush. So it just ain't those white folks running around with their big dollars that's moving. We moving too. We don't have that dollar. We don't have that internet. We don't have the big computers, you know, and them faxes and them telephone systems, you know, the cable systems, you know. But we do have one thing that's extremely powerful. We got a thing called Grapevine Express. It's native to us. You know, that have to do with soul. That have to do with spirit. They don't have to do with technology. Because we're not going to beat them with technology.
Come on, brother.
We're going to beat them with the spirit.
That's right.
And they know that. So this is a game. This is a chess game we're playing.
Come on.
It's a game of time.
Break it down.
But as some of the lecturers have already said, time is an illusion. Even Einstein knew that.
That's right.
That's why he threw relativity out the window and went to the unified field. And he didn't even think of that. He got that from us. See, they went into the bush to get that. Pulled it out of the bush. That's why they invented quantum science. Quantum science is the link between the material and the spiritual. It's their effort to go into the next dimension, to go one step higher. Because they know that what they got ain't working no more. It can't save them no more. And they know they are, in fact, running out of time. That's their greatest fear. We're not their greatest fear. They are their greatest fear. Because they look in that mirror every day. And they see time ticking off.
That's right.
And they know, just as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said many, many years ago, they march for time. They're on a time budget. And once their budget is out, That's it. And we're not even going to have to put a hand on them because we're not going to diss them. We're not going to take them out of here. We got a lot of allies, believe me. And most of those are not on the physical plane. We got spiritual allies. We got metaphysical allies. We got etherical allies. We got the solar system. We got the sun, the moon, and the earth. And all of these elements are moving now. You see this all over the planet. You know, I'm going up to Milwaukee. I was just telling the sister I'll be up in Milwaukee. Who's the sister from Milwaukee? I'll be up in Milwaukee next month because they specifically want me to do a lecture on the weather. Just on the weather. Because this is really starting to get around the country now. It's getting all over the world now. There's a problem. There's a problem with the weather that they cannot define. When you see the weatherman get on the TV and say, I don't know, that's a hint right there. And it's happening more and more and more. The Doppler radar does not give them the answers that they need. One of the most sophisticated systems they ever came up with, Doppler. $100 million system has failed. The first application of Doppler radar failed. Because that was a spiritual hit on them. Just to remind them of how mundane they are, how limited they are. So again, don't believe the hype. We are the Superman and the Superwoman. They are the baby. And they're due for a spanking, and it's coming. It's happening now. And you see it with the earth. You study the earth. That's your measure of the time. Not this thing they call time. Dismiss that. That's not real. That's illusion designed to keep you in check. That's why we can't keep jobs. Because we don't understand 9 to 5. Because that's not us. White man always saying, well, you're a great worker. I love you. You're beautiful. You just what we want, but you just can't show up on time. So we gotta let you go. Right? I see sisters saying back there, she knows exactly what I'm talking about. You just can't keep the time. So we gotta let you go. That's a mantra that they put out everywhere, not just here, all over the world. Because they want us to conform to their standards. An illusion that they invented and channeled through the Vatican. It was the Vatican that put their stamp of approval on it. And first it was Caesar. Julius Caesar said, look, we need a standard that we can use as a measure of control. And then as the paradigm shifted in the Middle Ages, Pope Gregory said, look, we need to shift this thing because the old paradigm that Julius Caesar set up ain't working no more. So we need to get a new paradigm. And the Vatican ordained this thing that we call time now. This comes out the Roman Catholic Church in Rome. Gregorian calendar. Gregorian calendar. That's the name of a pope. Gregory the 13th, who said, you are going to abide by our time, our European illusionary time. And we're going to make this thing a 24-hour thing. Jesse. "24 hours. We're on their illusionary time, a 24-hour clock. The number 6 means imperfection, unwholeness, lack of wholeness. But we get up every day assuming that their time is the only time, without knowing that our bodies don't operate on a 24-hour clock. Melanin is not programmed for 24 hours. And that's why we can't keep their jobs. And if you go to certain parts of Africa, you will find out to your amazement that a lot of folks over there don't go by this.
That's right.
Because this is a violation of spiritual principle. This is a desecration of the earth. So every day when you get up, that's why I don't wear no watches. I don't keep that stuff on my arm. I took them off years ago. Because that's a curse. Every time you look at that thing, you're cursing yourself. That's a hex. That's a vex that you're putting on yourself. It's a ritual that's programmed to keep you in check. Now, I'm not saying take your clock off, take your watch off. Some of y'all got Rolexes. I don't want you throwing them away. Because I'll be down on the floor picking it up. All right? But what I am saying is that you need to be conscious of the illusion that they call time. Anything that come out of the Vatican, you better be damn careful about it. Because the Vatican is the heart of their satanic power.
Yes, sir.
It's the heart of it. That's why they got this beast in white, in his white dress, running all over the planet. Especially Africa. Especially Africa, mostly in the third world, but especially Africa. Even though he's sick and dying right now, his clone is sick and dying right now. They keep pushing him out there because they're trying to bleed him because they want the world to understand that we don't want to change this paradigm. We need to keep this paradigm in place so that we can get our objectives accomplished going into the new millennium, the so-called new millennium, the 21st century. Because they are in the process, every day is the process of buying time. They consume most of their time is spent on buying time because they know the earth don't like them. And that's why when the eclipse went through Europe last summer, you know, the Europeans all rushed over to southern France and said, oh, look, let's spend $200 million on merchandise, on little glasses, right? Shirts, pamphlets, brochures, books about the eclipse. They said, let's celebrate this thing. But in the Eastern world, in our world, people were saying, chill. There's something very, very important happening here. And you need to get humble. This is the time to get extremely humble because something's coming down. All over the Eastern world, they were putting that word out. Do not celebrate this day because this is a special day. There's a special message being sent to this planet. And 2 weeks after that eclipse, that earthquake came down in Turkey, killed 20,000 people in one day. And then another one followed that and killed another 5,000 people in Turkey.
That's right.
And less than a few weeks after, a raging storm went through France, the very same area where all them beasts were celebrating the eclipse. A raging, wild, unpredictable storm tore through France and leveled 1/3 of all the trees in the whole country of France. 300 million trees were dropped in one storm in the month of December. In one country, France. 300 million trees, and the sister talked about trees. That was a very important spiritual message that was sent to those beasts that celebrated. A time of humility. That was their signal. This is what's coming to you, beast, because you don't run this planet. Because you do not control the paradigm. And you cannot pass into the next dimension. This is not a dimension we're passing into to belong to them. Their paradigm is the old, ancient paradigm. And they understand that. Why do you think, if you watch TV very carefully, especially the news and the documentaries, you'll see that more and more of the Europeans are wearing 19th century suits. Why do they do that? If you watch the news, you'll see that all the newscasters, the males and the females, got black suits on. Even in the middle of the summer, they're wearing black suits. All of them uniformly. This is subliminal because they're projecting to us what the time is. They know they're out of time. They're desperately reaching back. They need to reach back because they have no future. And when they wear these 19th century suits, that's what these 33 plus Masons are projecting to us. They're trying to tell us, yes, we know what the time is. What about you? The sister said that. What about you? We know what the deal is with us. We know where we got to go. That's why they're doing the shuttle thing. That's why they're underneath the water. because they know the time is up on the surface. That's why you have all these earthquakes and volcanoes and floods everywhere, mainly with the water. Neptunian influence. You're going to see this all over the planet even more. I'm going to talk about this tomorrow. Because Noon talked about 5-5-2000, but he did talk about 4-5-2000. Noon was off because he was using a Gregorian calendar. He was off in his calculations. He didn't understand when he went into that pyramid. He didn't understand the calculations in the pyramid. It was too sophisticated for him. Richard Noon was never initiated. You had to be initiated to understand anything in the Giza Plateau. Well, that information is locked out from you. Plus, their melanin center is blocked. It's calcified, it's ossified. That's why they're the beast. So when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad jumped up and talked about the devil, he wasn't hallucinating, he wasn't trying to be smart, he wasn't trying to be fancy. He was telling the truth. You're dealing with a corpse. You're dealing with a vertical corpse. That's what this is. But they are trying to project a message to us, and they do it in subliminal ways, such as wearing black suits all over the TV in the middle of the summer. What the hell are they doing that for? You don't wear no black, especially the females. Females don't wear black in summer. I don't care whether you're white, black, or polka dot. So why are all these fancy newscasters all wearing black in the middle of the summer? I watch this every single day, over and over and over and over. I said, man, they really deep with this subliminal nonsense. I picked it up, but how many of you did? When you go home tonight, turn on your TV, and you will see it. All of them will have uniform black or very dark clothes. Most of them will have black. Because they desperately they must go back, because there is nowhere else for them to go. Even the cars, you see it in the cars. They're trying to bring back the X cars that was phased out thousands of years ago. They're trying to bring them back from 1910 and 1920. This is all subliminal programming to make you understand that there is no forward motion. Everything must go backward. Racial relations. They're taking it back to the 1920s. So you see legal lynchings all over the country now, just like in the 1920s. They had lynchings using the rope. Now they have lynchings using the gun.
Right.
You see? It's all subliminal. They're trying to let us understand that there is no future. So therefore, because we have no future and we must leave, we're going to take you down with us if you want to lead a hike. So any of y'all want to go for the program and you going with us? That's what they're trying to project to us. So you can't be part of their thing. You never was part of their thing. I don't care how many plastic cards you got.
Yeah. Come on. Teach
I don't care how many cars you got, how many houses you got, how many white friends you got, what kind of job you got. The further up in the system you are, the more doomed you are.
That's right.
Those are the ones they want out. Those are the ones who are easiest access to. They can snatch them quick.
Teach y'all.
If you're right next door, they're going to snatch you first. And take you with them. Because they got all the plans laid in place. You hear about Area 51. You hear about Alternative 3. All these master plans that they got. So-called Illuminati. We're not talking about no Illuminati. We're talking about the beast. Period. Don't have to be no fancier than that. The beast.
Yeah, it is.
Very simple concept to understand. Half of us can't even spell. It took me years to spell Illuminati.
Spell white man.
You don't need to be spelling those 15-letter words. You got a little 5-letter word. Beast. That's all you need to know. So, I want to also thank the brothers and sisters in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, where I'm from, who have been very supportive of me. The brothers and sisters in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, Trenton, New Jersey, Wilmington, Delaware, who have been very, very supportive. Baltimore, Maryland. There's a lot of brothers and sisters all over the country. Believe me, people sweat nickels and dimes to do these things. You know, when Brother Valentine and Bobby and Audrey and Brother Khalid and all of us, Dr. Africa, when we go running around country, believe me, we don't have access to no blank checks or no huge bank accounts, that's up there at Chase Manhattan, New York Bank. We move around the country based on the nickels and dimes that come out of people's pockets.
That's right.
And we need to constantly give praise and acknowledgement to those folks, who come out of their pockets. I call it the chicken circuit. You can't call it the chicken circuit. But I call it the chicken circuit, because that's basically what we're doing, And we're running all over this country. We're crisscrossing each other's paths all over the country, desperately trying. We almost like Paul Revere. It's a bad analogy. But we're almost like the Paul Reveres. It's like a half a dozen Paul Reveres running around the country saying, please, people, please.
The beast is coming. The beast
The
is coming.
beast is coming. The beast is coming. That's right, brother. But fortunately, we are starting to see more and more of a response.
Yes.
When Brother Khalid is in New York, I'm in the Midwest. And Brother Valentine's down south, Bobby's up north. So then we changed the calibration a little bit, and we all in the same positions the other one was in. Changed the calibration a little bit, and we all in the same position that the other one was in. And this is all we do. We're running around the country doing this stuff. And believe me, it's not easy. This is work.
All right.
This is work. We should be getting some kind of, benefits package for this stuff, because this is work. The hotels are nice. Some of the accommodations are nice. But I'm going to tell you something. I don't like them planes. I do not like them airports, because it's all of them in there. There's very few of us in there. And you can feel it. You know what I'm talking about. You can feel them. And when they sit there and they grin at you, like, nigga, what are you doing in here? You're not supposed, right? Am I lying, Carly? Am I lying, Phil? You know what I'm talking about. They grin at you. Nigga, what are you doing in here? You're not supposed, you're going to where? Milwaukee? You're not supposed to be going to a place like that. I had one time I was in an airport, and I have a habit of going to the nearest wall. Wherever there's a seat near the wall, that's where I go. And I wait for my plane with my back against the wall. Right? I do that. And this beast had the nerve. I don't know whether it's the vibe or something. They can read us. They read us. They don't even have to look at us. They read us. And this beast, he reconnoitered the whole entire lounge area, slowly, keeping his eyes on me the whole time. And then he tightened the circle a little bit more, and tightened the circle a little bit more. And then finally he sat down exactly perpendicular across from me, so he would stare directly at me, and sat there the whole time, and stared at me as if to say, nigga, I'm going to make sure you don't get on this plane, because I don't want you sitting near me. And I stared right back. I'm getting on the plane, beast. If you want to get on the plane, get on the plane, by all means. I'm assuming you got a ticket too, but you better not get it my way. Because the brothers and sisters who bought my ticket can't afford to pay a penalty fee. No, I actually went through that in St. Louis. Brother brought me out, a very good, very gifted brother named Khalid. I'm so happy and proud to see so many young brothers and sisters. Beautiful brothers and sisters all over the country coming out of their pockets with these airplane tickets and these hotel reservations, and putting us in their houses, renting cars, But the brother in St. Louis made a bad mistake because he rented a brand new 2000 Mustang. And he had dreads. So you know what happened, right? You know where this story is going, right? We go over the bridge, we go over the Mississippi River to get to Cahokia, to get to the mound.
Not Cahokia, no.
We went to Cahokia, and guess what? The brother said, I'm driving exactly. He's going to see this tape. He knows what I'm talking about. Brother Khalid, over in St. Louis, He said, I'm driving exactly at 39 miles an hour because that's what the sign says. 39. And I'm not driving past 39. I'm not driving because the sister was in the car with her. She said, man, there's nobody on the road. It was midnight on the dot. There was nobody on this back country. It's a back road that takes you to Cahokia. There's no lights on the road. You pitch black. And the sister said, let's speed it up. Why don't you hit that pedal? He said, no. He said, I'm not going no more than 39 because the sign said 39. And we're going to get stopped. And within 5 minutes, state troopers pulled up. Flashlight pulled us over. You got anything in here that I don't want to see? That's what he said. You got any guns? You got any dope? You got this brand new car. Are y'all from Illinois? Yes. Y'all got IDs? Yes, sir. Can I look in the car? Silence. But it just so happens that he was shaking like a leaf.
That's right.
Because see, they don't know what the hell they're coming up on. Because I'm going to tell you something. A lot of these young brothers ain't taking it no more. A lot of these young brothers ain't taking it no more. They're busting these beasts all over the country. They're busting them. You're not taking my stuff. You're not opening this door. If you do it, you better do it legal. You better come right. That cracker was shaking like a leaf. He said, okay, you got that. No problem. Go ahead, keep going on your way. And then when we came back, we went to Cahokia, did our business, got back in the car and came back, and a different cop stopped us. And I said, damn, brother. Shoot. I said, get me across the bridge, man. Get me out of Southern Illinois, someplace you don't want to be. But we had to be there because there's a lot of us there. You know, you could go to the most distant parts of this country where you think there have never, ever been black people ever because it's so desolate. And we did. That's why you got to get metaphysical because sometimes you get messages that don't come on a mundane physical plane. Sometimes you get messages that come on spiritual planes. There's no way to explain some of the stuff that happens. Van Sertiman came to Philadelphia in December and he said, you know, he said, these white folks are pursuing me so bad now. He said, they're trying to kill me. And you should see him. He was sick. The man is sick. This is a very powerful spiritual warrior among us. They have broken this man's health. They have been pursuing him so tough because he had the nerve to put out some books talking about the superiority of the black man. The nerve of some Negro to put some books out talking about the white man was inferior. And there's proof, archaeological evidence, all over the planet proof. So we're going to put $1 billion contract on him and take him out. And in the meantime, we're going to break his health. They broke his health. Van Sertiman got up in December and fell off. He said, I'm a dying man. He said that. He said, I'm going to die soon. He said, I want to make my peace. I want to make my statement now. Because I want those people to understand that they're not going to take me out the way they want. And I'm going to pursue this knowledge and this information. That's what you call a spiritual warrior. Forget the meek, mild tone. It's what's in the heart that counts. And this brother said, you know, he said, sometimes information comes to me and I don't understand how it comes. It just comes. It's just there. And I said, man, I'm glad he said that. Because that's what happened to me the last time I was in Indianapolis. The first time I was in Indianapolis, I told the sister and the brother, we was in the car on the highway. Where's Herschel? We was in the car on the highway. Sister Teresa right here was in the car with us. And I said, you know what? I said, y'all are Egyptians. said, y'all are Egyptians. And I kept saying that. Y'all are Egyptians. I said, you need to study the 18th dynasty. Didn't I say that? You need to study the 18th dynasty. Find out about the ancient Egyptian rulers of the 18th dynasty because y'all are Egyptians. And I didn't understand what I was talking about. It was coming out of me. And I sounded like a fool and I felt like a fool. And they thought I was crazy too. But I kept saying that and it bothered me all the way back to Philadelphia. It bothered me. Why was I saying this? It was like googly guy. And then something almost like took me by the hand, took me into the bookstores, and started leading me to magazines and books I'd never even seen before, never even thought about before, never even knew existed. And I started unpeeling the history of the Midwest and found out that this is an Egyptian civilization. And they ran this joint, just like these beasts run it today, our people ran it before. This ain't nothing but the leftovers. Why do you think Brown is able to run around D.C. and put books out, like that Nile book he put out? Ancient Civilization, what's it called?
Nile Valley Civilization.
Nile Valley
Contribution to...
He put that book out because he's trying to teach us that they do know what they're doing when they map Washington, D.C. They just didn't put Pennsylvania Avenue where they put it because it looked pretty. They put Pennsylvania Avenue where they put it because they were going by ancient texts that told them where to put it. Why would they put the capital in a swamp?
That's right.
In the middle of it, you know all the Europeans was laughing at them? When they went to Europe and said, look, this is what we're going to do. Then Europeans said, wait a minute, you must be crazy. You don't build no capital in no swamp. That does not compute. There's nothing logical about that. You Americans must be insane. But what did they do? They fired Lot and Son because he couldn't do it well enough. Because he wasn't initiated to the point high enough. He didn't carry the proper vibration. They fired him and sent him back to France.
That's right.
And who did they hire? Bay. Benjamin Bay. They hired him. They brought him in. A Moor. That's right, Barnacle Bay. Thank you, brother. Brother Riola. And they said, you do it. You lay it out. You put the cornerstone for the White House in place. You put the cornerstone for the Capitol building in place. Now what the hell is that happening at a time when you had nothing but, when slavery was the law in this country? You had a Moor building their capital. So there's a whole lot underneath the surface that you need to explore. Because once you go underneath the surface, like I say, you got to deal with the bones and the stones, like they do. Once you get past the books, past the script, you got to go to the tablets. And once you get into the tablets and pull that knowledge out, you got to get past the tablets. And the only thing that's past the tablets is the stones and the bones. It's the stones and the bones that do the talking. That's why I'm able to get up and blabber about Egyptians. Because it's their bones talking. That's why you have to, you must deal with your ancestors. You must not ignore your ancestors. Because when you ignore your ancestors ignore you. And that's why we're taking these ass whoopings like we are in this country.
Yes, sir.
Because our ancestors are standing right here.
That's right.
Like Morning Sky said yesterday. He said every single chair in the room is filled.
That's right.
I didn't miss that. That was a loaded statement. He said every single chair in the room is filled. And he said, I'm not here for you, right? He said, I'm here for them.
Right.
He said, I'm dedicated to them. And they will judge me, not you. He said, I don't care what you say, what you think, how you react. It's irrelevant. I listened very carefully to what that man said. He said, I have to respond to them. And that's why I do libations. We're going to do a libation right now. Sister Malika, where you at?
Sister walked out.
She walked out. We need a sister to volunteer. Sister, come on up. very simple procedure I use for every lecture. I don't do, no, you have to turn the camera off, as a matter of fact.
Yes.
Yeah, you have to turn the camera off.
Put it up on, put it to the ceiling.
No video or audio. Right. 40 minutes? All right, this map, I've, right on the tape. On the tape. 40 minutes. Okay. 40 minutes. Well, I don't see by their map, there might be another zero in there somewhere. But I put this map on this board to help expedite the time so we can get through some of this material quicker. Some of you in different cities have already seen some of this material. Some of y'all have seen the audio or the videotapes that I have put out of New York, mostly in Philadelphia, Baltimore, Indianapolis, St. Louis, and other places. As a matter of fact, Brother Dwayne, in the back, put your hand up. Brother Dwayne from Bronx, New York. It's very good. This is another one of those young boys. This is the brother that got stopped by the federal police. Came all the way from Bronx, New York, 18-hour train ride to get here, just so that he could be with us. Came by himself. The brothers who was with him on the platform in New York got left behind because the train pulled off while they was trying to get on the train. He wound up getting on the train by himself.
It's all right.
But he's here with us. Very strong young brother. And this is what I see all over the country. This is why I feel proud. I feel emboldened.
That's right.
That's why I know that everything that they say is an illusion. But the brother got some of my tapes out on the table. He's selling the CD tapes. Brother made up a beautiful line of CD tapes with all the masters on it.
Yes, yes.
Beautiful tapes. Brother Khalid, Brother Valentine, Brother Bobby, Brother Africa, all kinds of brothers and sisters on his tapes. And they're real cheap. You know, this brother's really going in his pocket to do this stuff. Done bought all kind of super, real fancy, sophisticated equipment. Damn near sleeping on top of it. He got so much in his little apartment. But the brother's dedicated, he's focused.
That's right.
And that's the definition of a warrior.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Somebody who don't deviate
That's right.
from the mission. Get the job done. That's all they think about. Get the job done. And it's divided in brothers like that. So some of my tapes are out on his table, and some of his tapes are out on the table. You can get with me after this session today, or after tomorrow, or after Sunday. But this map basically portrays just some, a very few of the points of interest that I have been digging around concerning the ancient, prehistoric. The reason why I call it prehistoric history of the Moors is because virtually nobody in this country, especially the so-called educators, have an idea about what was going on in this country before the time of so-called Jesus Christ. From the time of the 1st century BC, the whole entire history of this continent is virtually absent. And you're not going to get it in a library or bookstore. You got to dig. You got to learn to dig. Even going into those places where they suddenly get hostile. You know, you go in the bookstore sometimes, they suddenly get hostile. You tell them, look this book up or look that magazine up on the computer. The whole facial demeanor changes. What? That's not on our computer. What did you say? Excuse me, I got to leave. No, I'll wait right here till you get back. You're going to get that book. You're going to get that magazine. Because, see, they know even some of their own people are dishing out the information like crazy now. Because they know the time. And we have to be smart enough to pick up on it and grab that stuff and run with it before they make it disappear. Because they do have a habit of going all over the country and buying out magazines. They buy out whole stocks of books just to keep your fingers off it. That's true. And they even go a step further. They kill. They kill people. When Van Sertima got up and said that they put a contract on me, I understood what he was talking about because I did some of the homework and found out that they had knocked off some of their own people. Smithsonian Institution, for instance, put out 2 people, S.A. Jordan and E.G. Kincaid. two people in 1909 who were commissioned by the Smithsonian to go into the Grand Canyon in the state of Arizona and dig out those Egyptian artifacts. Thousands and thousands and thousands of them and shipped back to Washington. That's what that movie series was about, Indiana Jones. That's what it was. They're putting it right in your face. Where did they make those movies? New Mexico. New Mexico. I was doing the research for the brother here from Indianapolis, Burnell. Had no idea that I had been talking about these movies for a whole year and never realized until I did the research for this brother in New Mexico that the movies were made in New Mexico, less than a few hundred miles from the Grand Canyon. So what were they really saying, the Raiders and Crusaders? They were saying that, yes, we did send people in there in 1909, and we did pull out thousands and thousands and thousands of ancient Egyptian artifacts and shipped it all back to Washington. And the most valuable pieces of it we stuck in caves up in the mountains of Virginia. They have vast, huge caverns. I was in Indianapolis last time, and the brother who runs the museum in Indianapolis said, you know what? He said, very curious that you made that statement about the Smithsonian and all those caves and all those warehouses that they got, because he said, guess what? I went down to Maryland and I was in them. He said, I had special clearance. And I got in, he said, you could walk and walk and walk and walk and walk and walk and walk. And there's no end to these warehouses. So when they portrayed that in Crusaders and Raiders, they telling you what they got. It's not fiction, it's real. They got them all over the country. But guess what? They were so afraid of what they pulled out of their canyon that they threw a lot of it into the Atlantic Ocean. They were terrified about what they found because they found a link to the ancient prehistoric Moors. Now, I certainly appreciate that the brother came in here from Phoenix, Brother Morning Sky, but he didn't really drop the heaviest bomb until the very end of the lecture.
That's right. Everybody left.
When everybody left,
That's right.
he dropped the bomb. He said,
They lied.
he said his ancestors and his elders lied.
That's right.
They lied. The Hopi elders lied to him because he had the nerve to ask them, what about my roots?
That's right.
And they lied to him. And they said, your roots are elsewhere. But he dug. Something inside of him said, dig, like I do. I did. And he found out about the Olmecs. The Olmecs down here in central Mexico. And he said, the Olmecs were my fathers. Isn't that what he said?
Right.
He said, that's my ancestors. And he said, they lied to me when I asked him about it. Why did they lie? Why have they been lying for generations? And why have they been getting punished
Teach on. All right now.
for generations? Because they know who the Olmecs are. These beasts in Washington know who the Olmecs are. That's why they call them the mysterious people. That's what they call them in all the history books. The mysterious people. Because they know that the Olmecs were portrayed in all those huge, gigantic basalt statues that you can't miss. They tried their damnedest to hide them and cover them up, build buildings on top of them. But guess what? The more they tried to cover it up, more came up out the ground. They became unsurfaced. They literally started pushing up out of the ground. All over this world, there is stuff coming up out of the ground.
Brooklyn. In Brooklyn.
In Brooklyn?
They found an Olmec head in Brooklyn.
Right on. And if we had the time, we would talk about the Iroquois, who Budge investigated, the Egyptologist Budge. The most famous Egyptologist Budge did an investigation of the Iroquois. Guess what he did? At the Giza Plateau. The Iroquois, you know who that is, right? At the Giza Plateau. They know who the Olmecs are. It's us. The most brilliant civilization that was ever on the face of this continent was us. There was no hybrid races. It was us. And these were not people that came from Africa. Let's make a distinction here. We got to be clear about the history. We're not talking about Africans per se. We're talking about Moors. There's a difference. There are people that look just like Africans who are Moors, but they're not Africans. There's a lot of confusion about this. because there are people who were here, who have been here, who came from here originally, the Aboriginal people who have been here from the jump, since the beginning of this continent. Never came from nowhere else. Didn't come from Atlantis, didn't come from Africa, did not come from Lemuria. They were here the whole time. I got in a huge debate with a brother, a PhD in Philadelphia about that. Brother stormed out my lecture because I said, where did the people in the Indian subcontinent come from? And he said, they're migrating. Those Nagas, the Nagas, that look just like us. Where did they come from? He said, well, they're migrating from Africa. Obviously, they look like Africans. I said, oh, is that a fact? He said, well, what's your theory? I said, well, maybe they were there the whole time. Maybe they never migrated from nowhere.
That's right.
He said, well, how is that possible? I said, maybe the people didn't move. Maybe the land moved.
All right. All right. Now we
He said, that's preposterous.
Now we
And he jumped up and ran out of the room. Grabbed his coat and ran out. This is crazy talk. But guess what? They are now studying and accepting the theory of tectonic plate movement.
That's right.
They've already said it's
This
a
is
fact.
a scientific fact.
They said it's a fact.
It's a fact that continents move.
That's right.
Just like people move. They found out, as a matter of fact, that the Ohio River used to have its delta at Natchez, Mississippi. The Ohio River, you know where the Ohio River is, right? It's 300 miles north of Natchez, Mississippi. Its headwaters used to be, its delta used to be, where it joins the Mississippi used to be at Natchez, Mississippi, damn near in the Gulf. It gravitated, it moved, or was moved, to where it's at now, 300 miles north, at the junction of the Illinois border. Our people did that. It's called terraforming. This is not a new science. They're getting ready to do it on the moon and Mars now. They have these sciences at their fingertips. Where did they get it? They went to the ancient texts. And when the ancient texts ran out, they went to the tablets. And when the tablets ran out, they went to the stones and the bones. That's the way they do. They got that from us. Because they know that those stones and those bones talk. Stones and bones don't sit there forever, silent. At some point in time, they talk. So in southern Illinois, they have found a cave as of 1982. An old Army colonel called Burroughs, Edwin Burroughs, stumbled into a cave on his property and found thousands of stones. Guess what? It started a revolution in Washington, D.C. They tried to kill the man and anybody who ever knew him. You know why? This Army colonel, they tried to kill him because he found some rocks in a cave in southern Illinois. When he pulled the stones out, he found out that there were pictures of ancient prehistoric Moors on them. People that look just like you right here in this room. When the Smithsonian got them stones, they went berserk. They said, kill that man. Just like they did with the guys who went to the Smithsonian, into the Grand Canyon almost 100 years before. They will kill anybody who upsets the paradigm. Anybody who rocks the boat. For those of y'all who don't understand that big word, rocks the boat. They're going to try to off you. That's how sensitive this thing is. We're dealing with sensitive issues. Every single word that comes out of our mouth up here is extremely hypersensitive. Van Sertima said to me before I left in December, he said, you know what? He said, you better understand one thing. He said, if you're going to try to put these theories out, you better be ready. That's what he left me with. He said, you better be ready. Because he said, they're going to go after you. They're going to go after you. But guess what? When he said that, I went and did my libations. And I've been doing them every day ever since. Because I know that if they get the chance, they will come into my space. And they'll do what they want with me. But I know that my ancestors are stronger than anything they can throw at me. And all I got to do is be vigilant and humble enough to keep this work up, to keep doing those simple little things. Like lighting an incense stick. It's very simple. Pour the water. Leave the water out. You don't even need to pour water. You can leave water out. and it absorbs the negative energy in the spot. Light the candles, light the incense. That smoke absorbs the negative energy. In the East, they make people take their shoes off at the door.
Right.
As a matter of fact, in some places in the East, if you don't take your shoes off, you not only might not come in, but if you do make the mistake of coming in certain places, your head come off. Do you know that there's places in the East where if one of them beasts even tries to get on the side of one of them mountains, their head come off automatic? That's fact. That's history. Kathmandu. For many, many, many centuries, these beasts couldn't come anywhere near Kathmandu. It's only very recently that they've been allowed in there. Because any beast that set foot in Kathmandu automatically, no questions asked, lost his head. We forgot that rule. We forgot that because we were so busy being Christian.
Hello.
So busy being forgiven. So busy turning the other cheek that while our cheek was turned, they came and put their foot right up our ass. And got it up there ever since. But you got to understand that there's a greater power. All you got to do is call on that power. All these ancient sites, whether you're talking about Illinois or Indiana, where I have been, I had the blessings of the ancestors to go up on top of the mountain at Cahokia. If you ever get a chance, you don't need to go to Mexico. Do you know that there is a granite stone pyramid underneath that dirt mountain? They just found it, so-called. Now, January 1998, they started putting the information in the magazines that there is a granite stone pyramid, a four-sided pyramid underneath the great mountain at Cahokia. I was on top of that mountain. We did a ritual on top of that mountain. There's awesome power there. That's what that Confederate flag is really all about. When they fighting down there in South Carolina, that is not a political fight. It's a spiritual fight. There's something going on here. These people have not been fighting all over the state of South Carolina, now spreading into Georgia. Talking about that Confederate flag here too. That's not just a coincidental thing. That just didn't happen. Those kind of things don't happen. There are certain subliminal messages being projected. So is it a coincidence that at the same time they started this fight over that flag, they found a stone pyramid underneath that mountain at Cahokia? Cahokia is 1,000 feet long. Anybody ever been there? It's 1,000 feet. So you understand the awesomeness of this thing? It's 1,000 feet long, 100 feet high. It's got 12 flights of steps. There's so many steps on this thing that the sister we took with us, she couldn't even hang. She burned out halfway up the steps. We said, no, sister, you got to come on. It was freezing cold. It was 30 degrees. And it was midnight on the dot. I got on that plane and I got to Illinois, I got to St. Louis, and I got to that mound at the point of midnight. I told that brother, I want to be there at midnight. So we went to the Mississippi River and did the ritual, and then we got over across the bridge, and we went over to the Cahokia, and even after that cop stopped us, we kept going. That cop stopped us for a reason. That they had nothing to do with no law. There's all kind of energies around that place trying to stop anything positive from going on, because the energies are so powerful. Because that's the nexus point. I told those folks in St. Louis, it blew them away. They couldn't believe it. They said, man, we never heard this stuff before. Now they want me back there all of a sudden. They said they want me to teach over there. They want me to lead caravans of people to Cahokia. I said, you better be careful, because you see what the cop did to us. If they stop one car and harassed us, what do you think they'll do to a busload of niggas? They're liable to build a new jailhouse for us over there. But we went on top of that mountain, we did a ritual, and all kind of real wild stuff started kicking out. I mean, real wild. That's why I listened to Morning Sky. Because when he talked about the shaman, and he talked about the rituals, the man ain't playing no games. He knew what he was talking about. But he talked and goobly got deliberately. He talked and goobly got deliberately. Very few people that heard him understood what he was saying. You know how I know that? Because I just barely understood what he was saying. I only got about 5% of it. And it was racking my brains up, but that's the way shamans operate. If you get a shaman in your face who tells you that the road is long and straight, it's never an easy path to truth. It's always a jagged, crooked, winding, bending road that's difficult and cut your feet every time. That's what he did yesterday. The man came in here and laid down a puzzle. I was sitting in the back room observing the whole thing. Brother Kevin came in and he said, man, he said, I want to shake your hand for sitting here. I said, I don't know how much longer I can hang with this, but I'm trying hard. But he talked about that Route 75. And he talked about those omics. He was dropping these little bombs. All along the discussion, he was dropping little bombs. Saying who would pick it up and who wouldn't. But that's the way of the shaman. That's the way shamans operate. When you see people like us get up and talk, what you think is gobbledygook. When people like Bobby Hemming, Phil Valentine, and Sister Audrey here get up, and they talk, and you're racking your brains out, and you're trying to keep a straight face, and you just don't understand what we're saying. You got to struggle with it. You got to struggle with it. Because we're trying to tap into your black dot. Because we know that that black has a direct connection to that black hole that those beasts are trying to get to. They're trying to run all kinds of experiments now to get into the black hole. Why are they doing that? Because they know who we are. Melanated people have an automatic access to the black dot to the black hole through the black dot. Our black dot is nothing but a spiritual computer. It's a spiritual manifestation of the great reality in the cosmos. So when you hear about the triple blackness of space, that's not a fiction. Those are laws that were laid down many thousands of years ago. You find them in the pyramid.
That's right.
It's no joke. They didn't make that stuff up. They based it. That's science. When you hear that word being thrown around, you got to understand the concept. We're not talking science in terms of what they got in their physics books. We're talking science in terms of nature, natural laws, natural physics. And that's what we're doing here. Now, tomorrow I'm also going to talk very briefly about North Carolina because it's very important to Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Why was Prophet Noble Drew Ali born in the same place where these Cherokee Indians are now today? That's not a coincidence. This place up here where Burroughs Cave is at, that was found in 1982, this white man found not only stones that were 2,000 years old with Moorish etchings on them, he also found Egyptian etchings on them. And that's why they tried to kill this man and take all that stuff out of that cave. And right now they're in the middle of a legal dispute, a major legal dispute over the property because they're trying to get to the property. Okay? But they know all up and down this river, these river systems. You got the Missouri River system, the Des Moines River system, the Ohio River system, the Tennessee River system. You got the Wabash, you got the Illinois, the Chicago River system. All these river systems, you have thousands and thousands and thousands of mounds all up and down these river valleys. When I was in Indianapolis, we went out to some of the mounds. In Indianapolis, guess what? When we went to the mounds in Indianapolis, they called the police. They called the cops on us. And when we was going out the gate, ain't that right? They called the cops on us. And when we was going out the gate, the cops was coming in the gate, gritting on us. Nigga, what you doing here? You know what the man said? There was so many of y'all. We had 2 carloads. And we did a ritual at the mountain. Well, we was watching y'all. That's what he said. He said, we was watching y'all. And as soon as he said that, the car pulled up. Police car pulled up right beside us. And the 2 beasts are sitting in there gritting on us. Because they know that if we ever find out who we are and what we got here, they're doomed, they're finished.
That's right. Come on with it.
So they're in a desperate struggle to keep the knowledge hidden. That's why they call it esoteric. You gotta hide it. They got a whole crew of house niggas here to try to keep the information away from us. They call Masons.
Yeah. Hello.
A whole crew of them that are paid. You know, Steve Coakley been running all over the country talking about the boule. He's not just, you know, shooting off the cuff. They didn't shoot that brother for nothing. They tried to shoot that brother because he's speaking the truth. They tried to take him out. Brother Khalid, they shot him. They didn't shoot him for fun and games. He said he hurt. I heard him in Philadelphia. It wasn't no fiction. He said he hurt. They tried to take him out because they know he got information. And guess what? When you get information, your vibration rises.
Changes.
And guess what? When you get on the planes, you know the ones among them that see the vibration you got. And they look. And they look. You know, I had a cracker, actually had the nerve enough. I was sitting in the plane. As a matter of fact, that was the last time I was coming down to Atlanta. This big old burly linebacker, redneck beast, sitting next to me. He looked at me, and he looked again, and he looked again. He said, with a straight face, I swear, he said, I'm going to do you and me a favor. And got up and walked away and never came back. I swear. And I looked, when the plane landed, I looked, and he was way in the back seat. I said, damn, I know, I might look like I'm crazy, but damn, is the vibration that heavy? Yeah. But I talk to black people who say that to me over and over and over again. I can imagine what Khalid go through. And Bobby, and Valentine, and so Audrey in these airports, God, Brother Africa, I could imagine if they taking the beatings that I'm taking on. I don't even like getting on. I wish I had a private plane. Because their vibration is all over these places. See, the communications and the transportation. That's the keys to the civilization. That's why you go to the communication centers, you go to the transportation centers, you don't see us there. That's called control. So the airports, they spend billions and billions and billions of dollars on these planes and these airports. Wherever we are not at, that's where they spend most of their money. Wherever we are not at. We're not in these airports. They pumping billions all over the country. You see them spending billions of dollars in these airports. Building whole brand new airports out of the ground and knocking down your billions and billions of dollars. Why? Because it has to do with futuristic sciences. Transportation and communication have to do with communication. It has to do with knowledge and networking, linkage. Linkage goes to control. So you're not going to find us in there. So when we do go in there, especially ones like us, they automatically onto us. The radars are up. And they say, oh, watch that one. Something wrong with his eyes. Watch that one over there. He got bad vibrations. You know? And you better not have no African gear on him. Then they really watch you then. He's a threat. He's a direct, immediate threat because he's not afraid to express himself. See, so sometimes I get in the airport, if I get fed up with it enough, especially at certain airports that I really don't like. I don't want to name some of them airports. Some of them airports is deep. As a matter of fact, if you go to the St. Louis airport, you know they have a whole gigantic mural. Have y'all ever seen that? In St. Louis? Huge mural of African people all down the wall. You go to Denver airport, right? They actually have an altar. Did you know this? In order for them to get them planes off the ground, they have to have an altar in permanent place at the Denver airport. They must have this. You know why? Because the shamans told them when they were trying to build that airport, they pumped another building. Didn't work. They pumped another building. Didn't work. Remember, for years this went on. They couldn't open that airport. Why? Because it was on sacred ground. And they went to the natives and they said, what are we going to do? We're going to spend $5 billion on this thing, and we can't get these planes off the ground. Even the thing to bring down the baggage carriage, that wouldn't even work. You know what the natives told them? They said, you must honor the ancestors who you have desecrated. And you must do it every single day until this airport disappears. And they built a ritual center in the airport. Go to Denver Airport and see, they know our power. They know what we got. They found that out in the Great Pyramid. When Carnarvon and Howard Carter, I love this story so much. You know where I'm going, Khalid, with this one. When Carnarvon, I love this one. When Carnarvon and Howard Carter went to the Great Pyramid in 1922, and Carnarvon pumped millions and millions and millions, this rich English man, spent millions of dollars to find King Tut's tomb. He commissioned Howard Carter. You must find this tomb. Because this ego thing. I'm going to conquer this nigga, even though he's been dead for 1,300 years, plus 1,000, plus 2,000. I'm going to find this nigga bones, because we want to send some of that stuff back to Skull and Bones. All right? And Howard Carter broke through the tomb, and he saw the cartouche, the card, the sign up on top of the tomb, and he said, wait, wait. He said, the sign says,
All right.
don't you dare come in here.
That's right.
Except at great risk to your life, because anybody that comes in here will surely die. Carter Van pushed Howard Carter out the way. He said, get the hell out of the way, fool. I know there's gold in there, and they busted through. Carter Van was the first one to stick his nose in the tomb. And he said, oh my God, they done made a half dozen movies about this. It's documented fact. All of this has been documented 100 times. I know Bobby loved this story, because I see him smiling over there. I love this story, because it shows who we are. Carter Van busted in and took all the gold. He said, okay, we take all of it back to London, because I'm going to get rich. And the New York Times and the London Times, all of them went over. There was hundreds of press from all over the world. The most famous discovery ever in the history of the world. King Tut's tomb. So he kicked Howard Carter off to the side. Okay, fool, we're going to give you your bone for finding the tomb, but we're keeping all the gold because we're taking it back. So Carter Man had a big smile on his face, and he went on over to the hotel. And he said, I got to take a nap after all this labor. He jumped in the bed, pulled up the cover, and a mosquito came through the window and bit him in the cheek and killed him on the spot. That's a true story.
It's true, it's true.
That's a true story. And guess what? There were 52 researchers inside that tomb. 52 of them died within a few years of that discovery. And guess what? Even today, they still die. And guess what? Not only that tomb, almost all the tombs that they are broken into, those beasts that died. You know why? Because they're not calibrated correctly. You have to have the proper vibration. Only melanated people can go into these places all over the planet, because we have the proper vibration, whether you know it or not, or want it or not, or like it or not. It's not a matter of consciousness. It's a matter of fact. That's right. They had the diamond on the tomb, the sarcophagus. The sarcophagus was taken out of Egypt and put on the Titanic, and it went down. That's correct. In fact, as a matter of fact, not only that, but you know why I know for a fact that these beasts here can't make it? Why I know they're on a short budget? Because they took the Hope Diamond. They took the Hope Diamond out of India. And every beast that put his hands on that diamond died. And then these beasts from over here did the rituals and went over there and took the Hope Stone and brought it and gets this in the Smithsonian. So the curse is on them. They know that their time is up. That's why you see these hurricanes coming all up and down the country. Because they're not doing the proper rituals. Their time is up. Even if they do the rituals, it doesn't matter anymore, because the earth is moving. The earth graduates just like we graduate in school. The earth graduates too. It grows and matures, and it's moving into a higher dimension that is past their limited dimension. They're not third-dimensional creatures, they're second-dimensional creatures. That's why they don't have perspective. That's why the brother Africa made a brilliant statement yesterday. They don't know color. I didn't know that. I didn't know that they don't know color. We have more perception of colors than they do. I didn't even know that. Until a few years ago, brother told me, I said, no, that's crazy, man. He said, no. He said, a lot of white people can't see colors. They can't see colors because their melanin is depleted. They can't taste. That's why they can't cook. No, that's the truth. They don't know how to cook. Black folk don't eat white folk food, by and large, because we know they don't cook. They can't dance. They can't run. They can't jump. They can't swim. They can't even make babies. You ever been in a hospital in the nurseries and you see their little babies? They look like plastic dolls because you can see straight through them. You can see straight through the skin. Anybody in here nursing? You can see straight, in my line, you can look straight through their skin. But you see the little black baby, it's a totally different story. The black baby looks like a little black adult. It's a little miniature adult. But the white babies look like Frankenstein monsters. They do. That's the truth. When I look at them, I get scared. I said, oh my God, what is that thing in there? And they gotta have them plugged up, all kind of tubes in them, to keep them going. That's why they're taking our women. That's why they're taking our women. All over the planet, they're taking our women. We found a place up in Toronto, Canada, that trains white men how to take black women. Because they know that because the earth is moving into a new paradigm, a new higher dimension, they cannot survive because they're not melanated. So they had to take our women as incubators. Because they're going to put their seed in our women and increase in growing numbers. That's why you see this all over the country. You see this. They're taking our women. What's the ruse? What's the carrot? Multiculturalism. They're shooting out at us. They're saying, oh, it's fine, it's good, it's cool. You know, let's forget the past. We don't need to worry about that. I mean, all those lynchings. Do you know the state of Georgia? The state of Georgia has more lynchings than any other state in the South. Get the book, 100 Years of Lynching. Ginsburg, Ralph Ginsburg. It's page after page after page after page after page of lynchings in the state of Georgia. So I don't have no illusions about what's going on here. Yeah, they got nice hotels, and yeah, they do smile. But guess what? When they smile, I run. Because I know that's a threat. So when I see them little innocent white girls, they always smiling. You know, how you doing, Miss DeBernardo?
Teach on that thing.
I'm like, I ain't going there. But they get a lot of them young brothers. What's the inducement? The inducement is the greenback. I said, oh, I got a bank account, I got a car, I got an apartment. I mean, you can have all that. Just give me the seed. I want that seed. I need the seed. Any inducement. You want some crack? You want some cocaine? I got some food blow. You know, we're going down to party at the hall, you know. Whatever you want. I'm your slave. Well, I don't say that. I'm your slave. Whatever. You do whatever you want to me. Just give me the seed. I need the seed. That's what I want, nigga. Because once they get the seed, then they don't need the nigga no more. Kick him to the curb. So they make the little baby because they are trying to incubate their race.
All right.
Because they plan to go the whole Yakut route. That's what they're trying to do here, because they believe that their scientists are so sophisticated that in another 2, 3, 4, 5,000 years from now, they will be able to exactly reverse the scientific process. That's what Genome Project is all about. And some of the natives stepped to the plate and they said, no, you're not doing this to us. And they tried to sue the government. They said, no. They sued that. We got to complete this project. They have 3/4 of the whole entire human genetic structure mapped, which means that they will be able to create any kind of human being that they want in a tube. They won't need a body anymore. And that's why the geneticists are so important now. That's why they're doing experiments not only with the humans, but also with the plants and the animals. Because they're trying to perfect the genetic sciences so that they can save their race from extinction, because the earth is moving into another plane. All right, look, we got to stop right now. I'm starting to run over my time. I want to thank you for listening. We'll do some Q&A for about 10 minutes. Are we using the mic? Are we using the mic? All right, does anybody have questions?
Yes.
Before you ask a question, please say this is mic for recording purposes. Please talk to the mic.
Just wanted to thank you very much for continuing to be the warrior that you are. I have a question for you in terms of North Carolina. What comes forward for you about the Appalachian Trail, specifically looking from Harrisburg down into northern Georgia?
Thank you for that question. I said earlier in the earlier part of the lecture, tomorrow I'm going to talk about Route 75. It's very important. And Morning Sky said it was an old Indian route. Remember that? Indian route. Most of the interstate highway system in this country was old Indian routes. And most of those routes were what they call sacred tunnels or cosmic tunnels. Do you know that there's white people who have done research, done books on the road systems in this country, and they don't went to the Hopi Reservation, the Apache Reservation, Navajo Reservation, the talk. They don't went to the Ashanti and the Mandingo and the Zulu and the Dogon to talk about these road systems that the ancients had that normal people were not permitted on. Only sacred initiated people were permitted on it. That's why I got on Route 40 and Route 70 on the Indiana side and went south and west. And then I went to St. Louis and got on Route 40 and Route 70 and went east. Because I wanted to be on that sacred road so I could pick up those vibrations. Because at one end of that road is Cahokia Pyramid, and at the other end of that road is Anderson Pyramids of upstate Indiana. Okay? These ancients built these roads because they were sacred tunnels. They were cosmic tunnels. That was the routes that they used to tap into the Earth's chakra system. They knew exactly what they was doing. And these whiteys have built certain interstate highways like 75 in order to suck up the power. That's why in Indianapolis, for instance, very deep thing going on here in Atlanta. Because yesterday we were driving down to Center City and we went right down Washington Street, Wasatch Street, Wasatch Street. And we saw that the street that separates the Capitol building here in Atlanta from the City Hall is Washington Street. Now, is it a coincidence that that exact same identical arrangement exists in Indianapolis, Indiana? Where Washington Street is the connector between 40 and 70 going west and 40 and 70 going east. The state capitol building in Indianapolis is built on the very same road between those two mountains. Don't tell me the beast isn't true. The beast knows how to suck power right out of the earth and use it against us. But guess what? They done bit off more than they can chew. Because when they built these roads, these interstates on top of these sacred roads, they didn't understand that what come around, go around. And what you wish you may get. And now their power is starting to turn on them. And that's why their civilization is collapsing here. All over America, you see failure. Technological failure. Everywhere in America. They said, okay, Y2K wasn't a problem, but yet airport after airport after airport has been shut down because of computer failures. Oh, it's not the computers. It's just the electronic system. Shut the whole airport down in Philadelphia 3 times. As a matter of fact, the director of the Philadelphia airport just got fired last week. The mayor had a huge fight, fired the director of the airport, $150,000 salary a year because the whole airport blinked out. That don't have to do with their technology as much as it has to do with their technology's lack of syncopation with the earth, because the earth is moving along and their technology is moving backwards. They are a backward-looking people. They don't comprehend forward motion. And that's why they're trying to get rid of affirmative action. That's why they're trying to go back to Jim Crow. That's why you go through all the downtowns in this country and you see them trying to recreate the old models of segregation. Downtown Philadelphia, downtown Atlanta. Me and the brother was just talking about downtown Houston. He said they're rebuilding all downtown Houston, pushing the Black Force Saturday. They got to go back. They only know backward motion. So what do they see? They study their annals, and the annals said that 50 years ago there was segregation. Black people wasn't even allowed in most of the cities. I remember as a boy, when I was a boy, you didn't go into Center City, Philadelphia, because you got locked up. They locked you up. You couldn't get into hotels. So what come around, go around. But guess what? That's working to our benefit. Do you know that in this country there is a reverse migration of black people? So just like they're trying to reverse the tables, we are naturally reversing. We are naturally moving back into our own fold. So all over this country, I talked about our brother Akhenaten. Is he here?
That's right. Right here.
Brother Allen and I talked about it on our show. I said, black people all over the country are moving back. It's huge. I was amazed to come to Atlanta the first time and see huge numbers of people, and even now more. 3 years later, there's even a heavier volume of people coming in here from all over the country. Why? Because these sacred places are pulling us. The earth is directing us. It ain't even a conscious thing. We don't even know what the hell we're doing. We're just doing it. That's melanin talking. All right, what's the next question?
You are talking about the geneticists being able to bring themselves back. Time is the end of the time for them is now. Do they have the ability to program the vibration in the clone? Because if that's the case, why don't they do that now?
Well, you know, one of the most famous movies that was ever made was Frankenstein. Right? Frankenstein is based on a true story. You know that, right? Y'all know that? Most of the science fiction, in fact, is fact. Most of the fact is a fiction. All right? But Frankenstein is based on the old golems, the Jewish golems in Eastern Europe. Okay? It was an ancient alchemy process that they learned from us in Kemet and brought into Europe. Okay? And the Jews exclusively controlled that process. And they created these things called golem. A lot of these things that's looking like people in Europe, looking like human beings, are not even human beings. That's why I call them beasts, because you cannot compute them, you cannot calibrate them, think of them in terms of us. When you talk human being, you're talking us. So you can't use that kind of terminology with them. That's why the Honorable Elijah Muhammad talked about the devil.
That's right.
And that's why they hated him so much, because they knew he beat the game.
Exactly.
The subliminal game.
That's right.
So he said, I'm not going to call them no human beings. They're not a human being. They're golden. And those old Jews in Eastern Europe, that's why all these rulers in Europe was trying to wipe out those Jews. Not the Ashkenazim, mind you. Let's get that straight. We're not talking about the Ashkenazim. We're talking about the Sephardics. Totally different race of people. The original Jews. They went all over Europe trying to wipe these people out because they had no secrets of creating the golem. Alright? And these golems don't have souls. So you have a lot of races of people running around perpetrating as human beings, and they're really beasts that don't have souls. And that's why you can look at some of their faces. Sometimes you can tell them by looking at them, eyeball to eyeball. And when you see that ice coming back at you, you don't see no emotion. You don't feel nothing human. You feel pain. You feel misery. You feel ice coming at you. You know, when you see that blind hair, and those blue eyes. I don't even like looking at the eyes. The shaman in Africa one time said he gave way, he yielded to the beast because he looked into his eyes and he saw the fire in the eyes. It wasn't a human thing that he was dealing with. He knew, he was smart enough to step back because he said, we're not dealing with a human thing here. We have been deceived. We think they're humans.
That's right.
We think they're humans. So we fornicate with them.
Go ahead and teach.
Without knowing that every time that we fornicate with them, they put diseases in us.
Make it plain.
In fact,
Make it plain.
you only have to be in their space. You know what? Columbus and the Spanish armies, the Spanish and the French and the Dutch English armies did kill our people over here by the sword. The sword was only 5%.
That's right.
They killed us by disease. In other words, all they had to do was be near you. They didn't have to shake your hand. They didn't even have to spit at you. All they had to do was be near you. And the disease would militate towards you. The bug would come out of them and go at you, just like a science fiction movie. This is fact. This is how they killed millions and millions of our people over here. Just being here. That's all they had to do. That's because they do not have the vibration. Their vibration is completely different from our vibration. It don't have nothing to do with race, as a matter of fact. It has everything to do with vibration. And the vibration parallels the race. That's an important distinction. That's an important thing. That's a very important scientific principle to understand. Because if you don't understand the basis of race, then you lost it. And then you go over to multiculturalism because you don't understand the basis of the science.
Don't go there. Right.
All right, next.
Right here.
I know Georgia has mound builders. There was a place for the mound builders, and there's mounds in Macon and the North Etowah mounds. Is there any relation to the mound in Cahokia?
That's a very good question, sister, because all of the pyramids and all of the mounds on the whole planet, as a matter of fact, let's go a step further, the whole solar system,
Right. There you go.
were built by us. Even the natives admit now they had nothing to do with the mountains. It predated them by thousands, maybe tens of thousands of years. And this pyramid that they found underneath Cahokia may predate them by tens of thousands of years because they're already pushing back the timeline on the Great Pyramid.
Bring it.
Every year they're pushing it back. In fact, they're pushing back the timeline on the human race. They're pushing it back. And they're finding more and more of us in places like Africa, in places like North America,
Right.
where we were for millions of years.
Come on, Islam.
They didn't want to put it out there, but it's just so much evidence sticking out there that they got to put it out now.
Right.
But these mounds are all calibrated
That's right.
to work together. That's why the Europeans have been busy trying to destroy it. As soon as they went into Nubia, the first thing they did was say, we got to take them pyramids down. We've got to destroy those pyramids.
Right.
Because they know that our vibration is calibrated to the vibration of the pyramids and the mountains. All over this planet, we are one.
That's right. Islam.
And all of the animals, and every blade of grass, every rock, every stream, every tree, every bush on this planet is calibrated to our vibration. Because we are natural creatures. We're natural beings. That's why we humans.
That's right. That's right.
Claire talks about that.
That's
Up in
right.
Chicago, we're humans. They're mankind. A kind of a man. I feel like Muhammad was talking about this for years. He tried to break it down. He tried to put a parable form to make us understand. And we still don't get it because we're so busy being white. We're so busy being Christian. We're so busy being multicultural. You know, we want to get along, go along. You know, so we get that paycheck. We don't understand that this is all a trap. It's a ruse. It's a lie. The whole thing, the whole civilization, the whole culture, everything here, everything is a lie. This whole thing is a lie. That's why it must be destroyed. And we have to help the destruction.
That's right.
It's not a negative thing. It's a process of growth and development. You can't put a new building up in place that the old building comes down. Their physics teaches them that. No two objects can occupy the same space at the same time. You must bring it down. So when they destroyed the mountains and the pyramids all over the planet, actually they were doing us a favor. Because they helped push the earth. Where was I at? Was I in Indianapolis? Anybody here from St. Louis? Right, where we was talking about the wheels. How anybody auto mechanic, and you know they take the wheels and calibrate the wheels? You know what I'm talking about? That's exactly what the mounds do. That was an exact parallel that was brought up in St. Louis. When they calibrate those wheels to get them in the right alignment, that's exactly what the mounds do. So when they went around destroying these mounds, they pushed the earth off its axis. And that's why now all over the planet these crackers say, wait a minute, hold it. Don't destroy those mounds. Because the quantum science is now teaching them that those mounds and those pyramids are in place specifically at these great points in order to keep this earth in its place and help us realize our potential. That's why we are native to the pyramids and they're not. That's why when they go into the pyramids, they get hurt and they run out of there. Our Bell, this nationally syndicated talk show host, talked about how he ran in the pyramid with his whole crew. And they got inside the pyramid, they started doing experiments, sound experiments on the walls, on the granite walls inside the king's chamber. And he said, all of a sudden, this thing came. And he said they jumped up and ran the hell out of there. Does anybody remember that show? What?
There's an iceberg out there the size of Connecticut.
That's correct. That's correct. See, the earth is teaching us that when you mess, the earth is saying, you mess with me, I'm going to give you it back tenfold. That's exactly what we're seeing. With all these disasters around the planet. Okay, you done gave it your level best, as George Bush would say. Gave it your level best. Gave it your best shot. Now, we're seeing the whirlwind.
All right.
You were going to see in places like Atlanta. When I was here in 1997, I said that signals were sent. They get that tape. They got the tape. I said there are signals being sent to all the people down south that there's a cleansing going on. And I said you're going to see weather-related destruction all over the south. And that's been happening ever since I left out of here. Not just the south, but all over. Downtown Cincinnati, Salt Lake City, Miami, Oklahoma City. All these downtowns have been getting hit hard by twisters, tornadoes that never came in there before like that. Salt Lake City, of all places, huge, gigantic tornado went down the main street of Salt Lake City and wiped it out. Cincinnati, Ohio, Oklahoma City just last year, Nashville, Tennessee. You're going to see much more of this. I'm going to get into this tomorrow. And the things that you're going to have to do to get into place now because it's coming on strong. Look, the earth is in a position now, the sister said it earlier, where it's saying, put up a shut up. Because I'm coming in here to kick ass and I'm not taking no prisoners.
This year,
What?
20 million trees gone.
I just said it. No, not 20 million. 300 million
I stand corrected.
trees were knocked down in one day. In fact, all the trees in Versailles were knocked down in 20 seconds. 300-year-old trees. In fact, one of the spires on top of Notre Dame Cathedral was blown off. And that was one of the big items on the news late night talk show. They were saying, my God, this cathedral is 700 years old, and the spire blew off in that storm after the eclipse came through. That's us talking. That is our energy coming back here and putting them on notice. Your time is up, beast. It's time for you to roll.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Let's give it up for Brother Dr. Henry. Do not run out, y'all. Don't run out. Don't run out. Don't run out. Don't run out. Can we get some water, please? Don't run out. See, every time, we get a brother speak like that, we start running out, I start thinking y'all agents. Going to report. Every time, hey, stupid, take it off. But I'm just saying that, see if you make excursions now. You hear what he saying? Talk about France. Funny how you never got a visual of those, that scene. Can you imagine a visual of 300 million trees laying on its side? Jeez, a lot of visual. Well, again, once again, you have been lifted and reminded, and we thank our master, Brother Dr. Henry DeBernardo. And we wouldn't stop there.